We're excited to talk to you a little bit more about Sanity, Shopify, our partnership, and what we've been able to build together over the past few years, and give you some updates about where we're headed together as we help level up commerce experiences at scale. Let me tell you a little bit about Sanity first, and then we can walk through and I'll introduce the panelists. Sanity has a long history of helping customers achieve more and do more with their content. We're based in San Francisco in Norway, and we've been in the business for about 5 years now, restlessly reinventing the space as we continue to help businesses adapt to the composable era. But let me describe a little bit more about what that means. In the past, we've created experiences for the web, a single channel, a single experience that delights customers, but only does so within one frame. As we shifted into the next decade, we started thinking about businesses that adapted to multi-channels, this omni-channel era, where you were creating and expanding audiences and growth through many engagements across the brands that you worked with. And now we're entering a new era, the composable era, where content will power every part of your experience, not just your marketing site, your store, but also your back office and other integrations that you may have in place. The demands of the composable era are clear. You need centralized management of content for use for organization, content decoupled from your front end. So yes, it's headless, but it's much more than that. And it's structured, meaning that it's powerful. You can query it, you can shape it for any device, and it's personalized and tuned for the customers that are experiencing your brand and product for the first time. The benefits are clear. You're able to customize and iterate and work with content the way you want that mirrors your business. You're able to experiment fast and able to develop quickly. That achieves faster content velocity and greater content creativity. You have a single source of truth for reusable, trustworthy content, and the efficiency gains all lead to lower costs and higher revenue. Now, to tell you a little bit more about how Sanity levels up e-commerce experiences, I'd like to introduce the panelists to you so we can start the conversation. Let me first introduce Agatha Krowski, Director of Product at Shopify. Thank you for attending today.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to talk about the work that we've done together between Shopify and Sanity over the last year.
Thank you. And then Simon Svale, CTO and co-founder of Sanity.io. Welcome, Simon.
Hey, Darren. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're going to get started with some questions, and we'll keep it at a light dialogue and hopefully hear a bit of back and forth. And the hope is that customers who are engaging and wanting to learn about Sanity and Shopify understand the genesis of this partnership, and also how, why would you need a third-party content platform in the first place? What's the benefit to them? And what do we think is exciting in the kind of experiences we're going to unlock together? So to start, I'll go to Simon. Simon, can you give us some background about this partnership and why is Sanity important for merchants to consider?
Oh, I mean, to be fair, we actually didn't know we were. This actually started out Shopify telling us this, because it turns out a lot of people were using Sanity in combination with Shopify at a volume that we wasn't aware of. And what we've seen is people are super happy with Shopify and the convenience and the kind of power it kind of presents in a very neat and easy to use package. But then when you want to kind of invest more in the experience, you have like your particular ideas about how you want to present and connect your content. And also maybe you have needs in terms of how your team needs to work with the content that maybe goes beyond what comes out of the box in Shopify. You need a specialized tool. And that's why people were kind of combining these tools, and also the kind of the starting point of this partnership.
That's awesome. And when you say like a specialized tool, what makes Sanity particularly specialized for this particular use case? And
exactly. So Shopify is a specific tool to create a store. And that's why it's so popular, because it's super great at that one particular task. And it solves all of those kind of super gnarly things that sounds easy sometimes, but are really, really complicated. It has an ecosystem of different tools around it. But the content, the presentation tools are pretty kind of rigid in terms of they follow like a kind of one idea about how an online store is structured. So if you have particular ideas about how you want your customers to navigate, discover, if you have a storytelling concept around your store, maybe you have interesting kind of content concepts that are hard to scale without some kind of programmable interfaces, stuff like that, then people are driven towards structured content. And then of course, in this particular view, Sanity is specialized on kind of creating these kind of rich experiences. But of course, from the content perspective, it's extremely general because you can really build whatever you need there. It's easy to get started, but then in terms of the workflows and the content structures you can create, you can really kind of build forever in terms of as your kind of business develops.
Yeah. Now, Agatha, of course, Shopify is the leading destination for creating an online storefront. It's a great experience for many, many merchants, and it's seen tremendous growth. And so to be partnered is really exciting. But over the past years, especially, we've seen a greater emphasis on large-scale merchants that are using Shopify and thinking about Shopify as a commerce platform and recognizing also this rigidity or like this need to do more with their data. Can you talk about the investment Shopify has made to help large-scale merchants and enterprise merchants adopt Shopify, and how does Sanity help with the businesses in that class?
Yeah, sure. And I think probably the most mentionable investment we've made is Commerce Components, which we just launched at the beginning of January inside of the National Retail Federation show. And so what Commerce Components is, it's tailored for your large and enterprise merchants, and it allows the merchants to pick and choose the different Shopify components that work best for them, but also integrate with other systems for the specific needs they might have above and beyond what Shopify offers out of the box. So an example for that is if we look into the back office workflow management for commerce. If you have specific merchandising needs that Shopify doesn't offer out of the box, or if you're looking at your order management or customer management systems, you can choose any of Shopify's components to support those workflows, but you can also make a decision to use a different system to power those back office workflow needs. The same thing goes into your storefront. So Shopify actually offers a number of different ways in which you can power your storefront, one being our low-code online store, also known as the Liquid Storefront, which gives you a number of different tools to create a storefront experience. But you can also alternatively go to our completely headless SDK, also referred to as Hydrogen, to power your storefront completely. Now, where Sanity falls into this mix is in that same concept of allowing merchants to pick and choose the best product for their needs. So Shopify does offer a custom data platform for its merchants that allows you to do some content management features. But if you're looking for really dynamic, advanced content workflow management, tailored localizations for your buyers based on their different regions, this is a place where you're likely looking towards a third-party content management system. And this is where that partnership with Sanity is so important for us. So just like you have a pick and choose option on your back office workflows and storefronts, we want to provide that same pick and choose option to say, if you are looking for a robust advanced content management system, you have the option to go with Sanity here to do just that.
That's awesome. And how have enterprises received the Commerce Components launch and thinking about composability generally in this investment? And what are customers telling you that they're excited about, especially with the investments that you've made?
Right. Well, I think it became very clear to us when we announced Commerce Components that there was a strong need in the market to do just that. We had a lot of enterprise merchants who really wanted to build on top of Shopify, but they didn't see us having kind of this closed system that required you to use every single piece. So coming to the table and saying, hey, look, you want to use our lightning fast, extremely advanced checkout flow, no problem. But you have your own back office merchandising system, you want to have best-in-class content management, you can do that by choosing those components and piecing them together. And it's been extremely well received by our merchants, telling us that they're so excited to be able to choose the parts that they need to fill their needs within Shopify, while still being able to work within their kind of significant, large ecosystem of other systems as well.
Yeah, flexibility is key in today's era where you're choosing many different services, softwares. You have many different channels, and it's really critical to be able to have this sort of plug and play architecture where you're getting to decide and future proofing your business for whatever the demands are for customers tomorrow. Maybe AI is involved, maybe bots are involved. The possibilities are endless, and it's all about starting from that single source of truth or data. But speaking to those experiences that are possible, Simon, I'm curious, what have you seen customers that have integrated with Sanity that would have been impossible, or hard or expensive to do otherwise if this partnership didn't exist and the investments we make weren't available? And why would people want to make these kind of experiences anyway, these kind of rich experiences that we see and we're enthusiastic about, but why should other people be excited?
Yeah, why? So we are, of course, big believers in appropriate investment. Like, of course, you should only do what makes sense. And there are situations where, like, you don't need Sanity even. We would say that, like, it's important to think about that. So, but Sanity exists in order to create remarkable experiences, in order to connect with audiences. So that's kind of the mission, in a sense, that we're on. And in retail, online retail, that's incredibly important and very under invested in many instances. I'm a big online shopper myself, and I find myself experiencing a lot of pretty drab experiences, to be fair. So we get incredibly happy when we see these kinds of exciting storytelling-based stores, for example. So Kate, if you could bring up my screen right now. Perfect, thank you. So this is one of my favorite. They kind of tick all the boxes for me. This is Ether. It's kind of a kind of an adventure kind of clothes brand. Like, it means you can go clubbing with these clothes, but then you can like immediately go skiing if kind of the fancy strikes you. And what I like about this is kind of this whole framing is about what you would do with these clothes. You can hardly see the clothes in this first shot, right? Like, and then as you look at the different garments, if you click on one, you have the very traditional kind of, this is, I know exactly how to deal with this. If I'm ready to buy, I'm on it. But if I'm kind of in an exploratory mood, we start with storytelling. This is a company run by movie producers. So like every garment, every series has this kind of, they probably go have a shoot for every series. But the impressive thing here is this kind of storytelling keeps going, where they kind of, in a sense, zoom in from the mythology of the garment. And then in the end, they end up with this very practical storytelling about details, about the facts and the details of the garment that you will enjoy. These are the things that you often don't kind of realize until you have it, and they either disappoint you or delight you. But this is kind of, I think this is kind of spot on kind of product storytelling. And then one thing I really like about this is what you can do with Sanity and Shopify in combination. Like the first part here, product data from Shopify, and then as they invent new ways of telling the story, they will build out this. And then one thing little detail I really enjoyed is that they have a number for the ideal temperature for this garment, and then for the kind of tolerance area. And instead of just showing a couple of numbers, they have this kind of visualization. It's driven by some structured content inside Sanity, and then kind of visualized like this. It's kind of a very simple illustration of how like a very easy to author content can be kind of expanded upon using code and design. Similar thing here, Symbol, hi-fi brand, hi-fi kind of storage brand. Delightful visual style, but then similar thing here. This is kind of typical what you would be able to do with like Liquid, for example, and Sanity in combination, building these kind of rich story pages and having this kind of ongoing innovation as you discover what your market cares about, what storytelling kind of helps shift your product. It allows you to kind of be very dynamic and responsive. You don't have to wrangle with the kind of technologies a lot. You can just kind of keep inventing and keep doing this and then build those workflows.
And this page is loading pretty fast, actually.
True. Similar thing here. Like right now, I was kind of, maybe that was cheating, but you're right. This is fast, and this is not as fast as you would get it with this new solution with Liquid, probably, because I shouldn't buy this right now. This is not the right time to be shopping, Simon. I was trying to find a related product. Let's go back here. Yeah, but you're right. This loads fast.
Well, I think actually with Liquid, one of the cool things that we're doing with that side of integration is we're syncing the data server side from the same single source of truth. So as a customer, you have a choice whether or not you want to have a Liquid-based storefront, a headless or custom storefront, or maybe a mix and match of both. There may be parts of your store experience you want to have on one or the other. Agatha, do you have any comments on what you're seeing here?
Yeah, and I think I also want to emphasize that the big push in this integration was very much around the performance of your storefront. I mean, we know with Shopify that any slowdown in your storefront performance is going to have a direct impact on your bottom line. So we want to ensure that every app, every integration is as fast as possible, and especially if it's coming from Sanity and powering essentially the entire content on your website. And so the way we did that is to, as you just described, this data sync integration where your Sanity data comes into Shopify so that you're not doing any kind of additional client fetches that might slow down your performance of your Liquid storefront. And I think it's really good to call out that this partnership is really something that works great for both whether you've got your Liquid online store, right, and you want to use our WYSIWYG, easy visual editor experience to build up and kind of leverage that content inside of your storefront, or if you're going with our headless SDK where you've kind of built a full custom headless stack and you're pulling information from Sanity to power the content on that storefront. We kind of ensured throughout the partnership over the last year, especially, that we have really great solutions for if you're using Sanity in either one of these combinations of storefronts.
Yeah. So is there a recommended path for a merchant? Like, let's say I'm on a Liquid, an online storefront today, and I see all of this, and I'm like, do I really need Hydrogen for that? What are the pros and cons of an architecture, or is there a choice or dichotomy at all?
Sure. So I think first off, it depends on how you're going to structure your online store. I guess it would be a good starting point. If you're really looking to have that visual editing experience where you can map and manage your content, the online store is probably a good choice for you. You have a number of different templates that you could use to start building up your store from. And we also have a very easy to learn development language called Liquid that ensures that when you are building any kind of custom visual components, that they're going to be fast, they're going to be easy to build, and they'll help you build highly converting storefronts. And so the online store is probably a good fit for a big chunk of our merchants, especially if you're on the smaller side of your merchant base. But if you're looking for ultimate flexibility of your storefront, you have very unique needs you're trying to hit, the headless SDK Hydrogen is likely the path for you. Hydrogen is going to allow you to create highly tailored, unique storefront experiences that you're building as a team that'll be tailored to your buyer experiences. This will require you to have a development team, but that could be an in-house team, or it could also be an agency that you're working with as well. So it really depends on the core needs of your online store. Are you really looking for your kind of the look and feel, drag and drop functionality around building a visual layout, or are you really looking for kind of extreme, unique personalization of how your storefront is presented to your buyers?
But bottom line, Agatha, we just saw two different kinds of stores. One was apparel, low average cart value, but high throughput. You're going to buy many pieces of apparel, and then you see something like the Rickard vinyl kits, which I love, that are $1,000 pieces. So would you say then storytelling and this sort of thing does matter for these kind of experiences? And are there other benefits beyond having structured content and a core source of truth besides storytelling that you've seen from merchants that they're particularly interested in?
In terms of going down into the hydrogen path?
Or no, just generally with the idea of using, the benefits of a third-party platform clearly showcase storytelling.
Mhm.
What are the other sort of benefits you see from merchants that are particularly exciting for them as they start to embark on this, custom content journey and doing more with their data?
Well, I mean, you get, especially with the integration with Sanity here, right? You get this tool to be able to build up and structure your content, manage it for your content managers, right? So they have a dedicated place where they can build up and manage their content without worrying about them stepping over the visual UI of your page or about potentially breaking something that can actually happen if you don't have that very clear divide. So that structured content management is actually something that a lot of enterprise and larger merchants are looking for when they're looking for a CMS solution. So I would say that break is actually a really strong reason for why you want to be able to use or to leverage a content management system as a whole, something like Sanity, of course.
And possibly also the multi-store sort of architecture, right? When you have multiple languages and localization, could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So we definitely do see a lot of merchants coming to us where they have such unique, localized the stories about their brand depending on their different markets. So how they market themselves in the US versus in Europe versus in APAC is actually very different. And beyond just switching in and translating content, really having localized tailored experiences. And so with Shopify, you kind of have to manage these things either using our market solution, which is great for some levels of localization, but it doesn't give you extreme levels of customizability yet. Or what they end up doing is actually creating a whole bunch of different storefronts. So Canada has its own store, or the North America might have its own store. Europe might have its own store, APAC might have its own store. But with the integration with Sanity, you have a couple different options of how you might want to do that integration. It could be that you actually can now have a single store, and based on your locale, you're going to render different content based on the context. You have more flexibility there. Or you might actually still have those different stores, but you can connect those stores to a single Sanity instance, making it easier to have kind of a global repository of your data.
Awesome. This partnership has been so exciting, and it's been a pleasure to work with you all in creating and leveling up commerce experiences at scale. So thank you very much, Agatha and Simon, for joining us today and sharing your insights. I think merchants will be really excited to dig in and learn more. Now, with that, I'd like to actually turn over to Tom, who's a solution engineer on our team, who's going to walk through a demo of the integration and the latest updates we've made to empower liquid storefronts, as well as custom storefronts that are using Hydrogen. I can't wait to hear more. Tom, can you walk us through that?
Hi, I'm Tom from the solution engineering team at Sanity. Today I want to talk to you about our Shopify app, Sanity Connect, and how this can help you to enrich your storefront, as well as some of the features that we've recently released. In e-commerce, great content is really important. It can help SEO, set you and your brand apart, and help you to tell the story of you and your products. Content-led, product-focused, rich experiences can be the answer here. So how does Sanity help you to do that? Take this example product page, for instance. We're telling the story here of the product, its environmental credentials, how it's made, who made it. Here we're highlighting some elements of the product like what's in the box, and we're adjusting this content per variant as well, changing the dimensions and updating the what's in the box information. We've developed flexible content models here that add meaning to the product and the variants, and this enables you to break free of your product templates and the inherent limitation of templating, creating individualized product or even variant specific content and layouts. With Sanity, you also move away from tying your content to your presentation. If you're really wanting to future-proof your content, you might want to disconnect that content entirely from your presentation so you can use this content anywhere you might need to in the future. And that's where our Composable Content Cloud can help. Create your content once, publish it anywhere, whether that's your storefront, an app, or in your marketing campaigns. Let's take a look at an example Sanity Studio. The Studio is our open source editorial experience, built in React, and it can be tailored to your needs. You can make it yours and design the experience to work for your organization. The Studio is highly customizable. You can configure it to fit your content model and your processes. In this case, we've modeled products, variants, and collections, but also some other content types, such as people and materials, which can be referenced from the products. Sanity Studios use underlying schema configured in JavaScript code to generate the user interface that you see here, and this interface will be tailored to your needs according to your configuration and customizations. The Studio is also real-time and collaborative, meaning teams can work together seamlessly without fear of clashing, and it features a revision history so you can see and roll back changes made to your content. So let's take a look at installing Sanity Connect onto a Shopify store and synchronizing content between Shopify and Sanity. So here we've got a simple Sanity Studio with products, variants, and collections, and as you can see, we have no content in the Studio right now. So we're going to go ahead and install the Sanity Connect app to our Shopify store. If you find that on the App Store, you just click install and get that installed into your Shopify store as the first step. We'll then need to connect this up to Sanity, so you will need to authorize this with your Sanity account or create a Sanity account if you don't have one already. And once we've hooked up to our account, we can then either create a new project or choose an existing project to hook this up to our Sanity project. I'm just going to leave the default settings here now to synchronize everything automatically directly into the Sanity content lake. Once we've hooked that up, we should be able to see now the status of the synchronization here. You can see that that's successful. So if I jump over back to the Studio, in real time, we now have our products and we can begin to start adding content to them. So we've just got a couple of fields here, but you could customize the Studio with all sorts of different fields that are appropriate for your content types. So here we've got a body and a Boolean to indicate is this environmentally friendly or not, and we can open up our portable text editor here and start to add content. Now the portable text editor provides powerful block content editing. You can create your own content types and apply all sorts of different fields to them. So for example, we have here the ability to add an accordion, where we can add groups of content and present those on our front end as an accordion. Let's add a couple. And your content types here can be really flexible. So, we might add a call out with some large text up at the top of the page. Maybe we can drag and drop this around. And these are really, truly flexible to create your own content types as you see fit. So that's great, but how do we then use this content? What does that look like? Well, Sanity Connect was initially designed with headless commerce in mind. And in this context, you take this content and use it in your custom storefront, whether on Shopify's Hydrogen framework or elsewhere. And this is still the case, and this gives you the ultimate freedom to use your content in the most flexible way and build the most interactive, rich, performant experiences. But we've recognized that not everybody is in a position to go headless or wants to go headless. And so that's why we're introducing our new Sanity to Shopify sync. So you can get your content from Sanity into your Shopify online store to render in a Liquid theme. So you can code in a way that you're used to, with no new front-end frameworks to learn. You can reduce the overheads of headless, and you can maintain your access to the Shopify App Store. And currently this supports products, variants, and collections. So let's set this up. Within the Sanity Connect app, you can now, within settings, tick to enable content from Sanity in your online storefront. Once you do enable that, you will just need to go and update the app. That gives us a few extra permissions to pass that content back into Shopify. And once we've enabled that, we can see here that we now have a two-way sync, and we can see that the Sanity content being passed into Shopify has been successful. Once the sync back to Shopify is enabled, you can also use our Shopify asset plugin. This enables you to use your assets from Shopify within the Sanity Studio. For example, we have an image here from our Shopify store. If I want to replace that, we can click select, and we'll load the images in from the Shopify API, and we can replace those as necessary. This is also true of videos and files uploaded from your Shopify store. You can also search to find images and other assets, and then you can use those within your Liquid as you would any other image. So what does this look like in your Shopify store? Let's take a look at the product here. And we synchronize all that data back as meta fields. So we click show all and head to more actions and view read only app meta fields. We can see here the Sanity published meta field, and this has all the content of the document stored in JSON format. Because we're storing that in Shopify, this means that you can then access that full content within Liquid. That's a very performant way of accessing that server side. There's no API calls made to Sanity at all. It's all done server side in Liquid. So now we have our meta fields within our store, we can begin to customize our Liquid theme to output that content, whether that's variant specific content that changes when a variant changes, or whether it's your product content itself. And it's super easy then to update that and have ultimate flexibility around how you lay out that content, or how you order those blocks within our block editor, changing those variant fields. All those will be synced across to Shopify in real time as those documents are published from Sanity. So we've just swapped these over. Let's give that a refresh, and we can see there that that layout has now been updated as appropriate. And we've got a toolkit to help you with this. We've got our portable text to Liquid repo here. There's some snippets in here that you can add to your Shopify theme to quickly get up and running. These can be customized to your theme as appropriate. Your developers will be able to help you to get up and running with all of this. As I mentioned earlier, Sanity Connect was initially designed with headless commerce in mind, and this hasn't changed. If you want to create fully bespoke experiences with truly connected content, you can do just that. So for example, we have a studio here with a much wider content model. We've got guides transforming coffee tables one tray at a time, and being able to create bespoke connected content with, for example, image hotspots, where we can tag our images in with our products. Let's add the punked coaster to this hotspot here. Let's publish that change, and on the front end here we can see that we have hotspotted images. We can click through to that punked coaster and we can see, oh, that product is mentioned in a guide. Which other products are mentioned in the guide? Let's pull those through to this product page. Let's create automated upsells based on the material that product is. All of these things are possible through structured content via the Sanity Studio in the context of a headless front end. With Sanity, you can do more with the data you have on your products and tell richer stories that convert customers faster and build greater lifetime value. We've aimed to make our integration simple to get started while offering many capabilities using our composable commerce approach. Check out Sanity Connect app on the Shopify App Store today. And if you have any questions or would like to speak to our sales team, visit sanity.io/Shopify to learn more.